Hi there, welcome back. It is the Pat Miller Program. Glad you're with us. Well, we talked about not overscheduling your kid once they're in school. How much was the school ready when your kid came back this year? What are you talking about, Miller? How clean are our classrooms? How clean are our schools? And how do we protect our kids and keep everything going that way throughout the school year? Mark Warner, he's a cleaning industry expert. So let's bring him up. Mark, good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Hey, good afternoon, Pat. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, some people think, man, it is so hard getting the kids ready for school, getting their minds ready, buying the new clothes, finding out the bus routes and all that. Well, they ought to try to get school buildings ready for the kids to come. I mean, that's got to be a nightmare.
Well, no doubt about it. Actually, we spend a lot of time working with schools all throughout the summers trying to get them geared up so that they're disinfecting all the surfaces and making it safe for the kids. That's part of the mission of the ISSA's Cleaning Management Institute, which is who I'm affiliated with.
How hard is it? If a school basically is as pristine as it can be, the opening day of school, how hard is it to keep up with all that and to keep fighting germs and things with disinfectants and the right kinds of cleaners and to keep the kids clean? I mean, as a matter of point two, how do you keep up with all that?
Well, that's an interesting question, and although we teach custodial technicians the right procedures to use in order to disinfect all the most common surfaces you might think of, as soon as people start entering the building, you're allowing the contaminant, if you want to call it that, to enter the building. So it can be pristine and completely disinfected, and as soon as people start pouring in, they bring along with them anything they might be carrying on their skin or on the soles of their shoes, for that matter. We cover a lot of things with these custodial technicians on surfaces you would think about. So bathrooms, touch points, all those kinds of areas get highly addressed. But I think what people have to remember is that it's impossible to disinfect every single surface. So there is a potential of some areas that could be a threat, and because of that, we just always caution people to be on their own guard. Wash their hands often. Don't mess around with touching their face or scratching wounds, and doing the things to keep sickness away from themselves.
I've got to think that restrooms, cafeterias, and probably gymnasiums where you've had a lot of sweating and then showering and all that kind of stuff, that those are probably three environments that if you're going to pass a lot of stuff, it could probably very easily happen there.
Well, that's true. I have to say that there's been a lot of studies. In fact, we cover this when we do certification training. We're doing some training in Las Vegas, actually, in September at the convention center. But bathrooms are not necessarily the most threatening places. Although we all use them and we worry about it, they're detailed at least every single day. Areas that I tend to worry about a little bit more, Pat, is above the floor, horizontal surfaces, desktops, countertops, teachers' desks, things like that maybe don't get hit with quite the level of attention that a bathroom would. Certainly locker rooms, to your point, locker rooms, anything related to sports, I'm very sensitive to, because the average student worries about the common cold and influenza, but an athlete worries about things far more threatening, things like MRSA. And MRSA can destroy an athlete. So without going into detail what MRSA is, I think most people are familiar with that. That's the scary stuff, and that could be life-changing. And so things like shower rooms, locker rooms are of great concern to us.
Well, you mentioned like desktops, and again, a lot of people wouldn't necessarily think about that a whole lot. But if you're in a middle school or a high school situation where you have turnovers of students through a classroom, if you've got 7 class periods, you may have 6 or 7 different groups of kids that come through that classroom every day. So 6 or 7 different people are touching that desktop. You could really pass a lot of stuff.
Well, absolutely. The other area that you wouldn't necessarily think of is maybe the check-in desk when you arrive at a school. That could be more than 7 people a day. It could be 70 people in the course of the day, all handling things on the top of the sign-in desk. And that's kind of a public area. And often those areas they can be overlooked if they don't look visibly soiled. And as you know, Pat, the soil we're worried about here is invisible to the naked eye. So it's really important that somebody involved with cleaning and disinfecting crosses their T's and dots their I's and make sure they're doing things procedurally right, because their eyes are not going to be a way of cross-checking whether they did the work right or not.
With ISSA, the Worldwide Cleaning Industry Association, we're talking to Mark Warner. And Mark, I had a kidney transplant last year, and so I am on drugs that suppress my immune system, so I don't reject the kidney. Back at the start of the year, I contracted the CMV virus. And one of the things that my kidney doctor said to me, I found a little surprising. He said, whatever you do, don't give up on soap and water, because you tend to use hand sanitizers and you use them everywhere. But I have found out that there are some viruses that aren't affected by those things, but soap and water in regular usage, you just can't beat it.
Absolutely true. I mean, the bottom line is you don't have to kill it if you can remove it. So we worry about things that can kill these bacteria or viruses, and as you said, some of them are very difficult to kill. And hand sanitizer alone might not be the best defense. But if you can wash it off your skin, it doesn't matter whether it's alive or dead if it's going down the drain.
Yeah, that's true, too. And one last thing. I mean, if I'm in a restroom, whether I'm in a public school or at my church or I'm out at a sporting event, if I have the option of using a blow dryer for my hands, which looks like it should be the most sanitary, or I have the towel, the paper towel dispenser, I'll use it one time and throw it away. Am I better off going with the paper than I am the blow dryer?
That's a super good question. Backing up, you need to define that paper towel dispenser. Back in the day, we used to have to push levers in order to get the paper out, where we had cross-contamination going on. So in that instance, using a blow dryer that didn't require any touch was preferable. Nowadays, all the modern systems are touch-free, no-touch dispensers. And so given the option, a no-touch paper dispenser is definitely a safer way to go than the possibility of kicking on a forced air dryer, which might have the possibility of kicking into the air anything that's maybe had the opportunity to germinate and colonize. And we worry about things like that, puddled water that might sit down below an air dryer. Once that forced air hits it at 150 miles an hour, it blows it up into the airspace, and that's the air we're all breathing. So I think there's going to be a lot of changes on that technology as we look towards the future. But right now, that's something that's become an issue, and you're smart to bring that up. Given the choice, I would tell my kids, I'd rather have them see him use a paper towel than forced air dryer for that reason.
Especially if they didn't have to push a button to get the paper. Hey, well, listen, I want to thank you very much, Mark, for helping us today as we're trying to get our heads around all the things that are out there for kids. We talked to Maria Lucci about having to get our kids ready for school. Now we're talking to you about making sure our schools are ready for the kids, and I hope we've given some people some good information to talk about. But Mark Warner from ISSA, sir, thank you very much for your time today. We appreciate it very much.
Anytime, Pat. I enjoyed being on and chatting with you, and anytime I can be a help, I'm available to you.
We'll certainly call you.